Kal Kadosh, I hope all is well and that everyone had a meaningful fast and that this should be the last Tisha B'Av. We are doing Mishna Yomi Perek Gimel. This is Masechet Bava Kamma, the third chapter. We're starting a new Perek, which is now going to be Mishna Aleph and Bet, Ameniach et Akad. So if you guys remember, we were speaking about the four different categories of the original Mishnah. And it started with Shor, which is the ox, and then the next one is talking about the Bor, which is a pit. So this is the second of the four categories, which is a pit, okay, which is stable and does not mobilize, it does not move. And now we're going to start like this. If someone leaves a jug in the middle of the public domain, so somebody else comes, he trips on it, and then he breaks it. So patur, he's exempt of actually paying for it. Right? Now why? Because it's not normal to start looking all over the ground, making sure that there's nothing there. And therefore he's not blamed for not noticing that there was something there. But more than that, if he got damaged with this utensil, so the balach chavit, now did you realize that we started with kad, which is the jug, and we switched all of a sudden now to a chavit, to a barrel. So there's going to be, obviously the Gemara speaks about that, but the balach chavit, the owner of the barrel, is now obligated in damages because you put a stumbling block, you put something in the middle of the road, and if somebody's tripped now and broke their leg, so now you're obligated to pay. Not only is he exempt from paying the damages, you are obligated to pay for damages for what happened now. Nishbera, another case, Nishbera kado v'shut rabim. If somebody's jug broke, it wasn't that you purposely placed it there and now was a stumbling block. You are walking in the Shut Rabim, boom, your glass jug breaks. Now, somebody slips in the water that was inside that jug. Or a person got hit by the pottery. Remember, usually the jugs were made out of pottery. They didn't have that much of glass. So therefore, chayav, again, he's obligated to pay the owner of the jug. Why? Because again, right, the owner of the jug could have avoided stumbling and falling, and therefore he's responsible to pay for it. So he has to pay for any type of, again, here in the footnote he says actually he's negligent, and therefore the fact that he's negligent, that's why he actually has to come and he has to pay for any damages as well. Now, Rabbi Yehuda is going to disagree with this. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Bemitkaven chayav, you're right. If you wanted to keep the water, or keep the shards, which are basically the broken pieces of property, so then the pottery, then you're right. You're obligated to pay for it. But Beno mitkaven, patur, but if you didn't want to keep it, so you're going to be patur. Why? Because according to him, he didn't create the hazard. He stumbled, he fell. It wasn't his own fault. He didn't do anything purposely. So therefore, he's exempt from any type of payment as well. So therefore, but if he wants to keep those things, so therefore he is liable. Because if not, he should have got rid of it right away. Why didn't he clean it up? No, because he wanted to keep it. Now he wants to keep it. So now he's obligated for all these little tiny pieces or for all the water that was there. Then he's going to be obligated for all of that. Okay? Mishnah Bet. Now we're continuing again with obstacles in the public domain, which is the bor. There's the concept of a pit. Hashofech mayim b'reshut rabim. If someone pours water in a public place, right? Now, let's say he's permitted to do so. This is talking about during the rainy season, and the ground is already muddy, and therefore they're allowed to do this. V'yizik ba'en acher, and somebody gets damaged. So chayav b'nisko, he's obligated to pay for it. Again, in such a case, even though he was permitted to pour the water, he still has to pay for the damages which are happening. If someone hides, whether we're talking about thorns or glass in a public place, if somebody builds a fence of thorns, right, in a public next to a public place, right, or a gader, which is a wall, so you have this stone fence that falls into the public domain, and other people get damaged, again, he's going to be obligated, right, as well. In all these cases, again, basically what's happening is that since it's all happening into the Reshut Rabim, he's going to be obligated. If it's not his fault at all that the wall fell, so then he's not considered that he created the obstacle. But if he still stays ownership over the stones and all the things, so then it's like the previous Mishnah that we said, that then he would be obligated just like by the water or the shards that he wanted to keep, so therefore he would be obligated. But if, for example, somebody else knocked down the wall and he didn't want to keep them anymore, he doesn't know it, so then he's not obligated to pay for it, but if not, he's obligated to pay for it. Have a wonderful day.